Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for March 3rd, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 62. The days, or the weeks, the months are ripping on by. I am Merawat. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we talk about 10 articles every Monday through Friday, and on Saturday and Sunday, it turns into 15 articles across 3 different shows each day, Saturday and Sunday. The 10 articles that we're going to talk about today is 3D printed in space, stolen profits for the victim, docking with trash in space, Blue Diamond promotional vehicle, streaming March Madness 2025, challenging conventional whiskey making. These results are insulting. The Oscars gift bag 2025. Why do measles parties exist? The hell? And I've heard of poor taste, but take a breath. Methinks the sentient AI from the future knows at least one of these articles that were submitted has a taint to it, maybe a foul smell, maybe?
Yeah, there's some interesting articles in today's show. Good evening, hometown citizens. Hello, Mayor Watt.
Hello, sentient AI from the future. You still won't give me any winning lottery numbers, but I understand if I steal a credit card and buy lottery tickets, I have a chance.
Then you're taken care of.
As long as I give some money to the victim. This is weird.
I mean, and plus make sure to raise your hand and say, yes, I stole a card to buy these tickets.
That's right. Oh, by the way, if you want to keep up with today's articles, you can hit !NSN into the chat over on Twitch. Yeah, it's in the show notes over on YouTube. And Omatron over on Twitch will throw it into the chat. Even if we're not streaming, you can go into the chat there and type in !NSN. There's also !pod and !shows and a bunch of other things because we have 7 podcasts, 7 shows, 14 or 1900. Sorry, I don't know what I said 1400 for. 1900 episodes over on YouTube. Got a lot going on. Anyway, and more that's planned. It's just I don't have as much time as I would think. And so I plan for the future and then something comes along and pulls me away. So if you want to make a difference in how the show moves forward, follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. Like, subscribe, download the podcast, tell a friend, get the word out that we exist, that we talk about the news. All news, no noise. We don't talk about like politics and things like that, although sometimes I make snarky comments. They're well-meaning, good-natured. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more. Anyway, first article that was printed in 3D space has been recovered on Earth. So this is an article over in Non Sequitur News, and it's the first metal object. So it's an article. It's a thing.
Was it meant to be recovered on Earth?
Apparently. It's the first metal thingamajig, according to this article over at Futurism. I think it's Futurism. I don't know. Hold on. Let's see. Yes. So it's a thingamajig ever printed 3D printed in space, has landed on Earth, where European Space Agency scientists are now looking all over it. They are studying it.
It was a very realistic rendition of it.
Anyway, smells like space. In a press release, the ESA announced that the object, a round metal demonstration part, produced on the International Space Station that features a variety of stubby cylindrical objects, is now safely in the hands of agency scientists in the Netherlands.
So, I was hoping it was that general, I think it's a tugboat that's always the first thing printed on 3D printing things.
What do they call it? What the hell? I used to print these things. It's not Bodie McBoatface. It's what is the 3D printed boat called? Dear gosh, what? Too many moving parts here in ohmTown. So what is a 3D printed boat? What's it called? I'm doing it live. Benchy. It's called Benchy.
Yes, okay.
But there's apparently a licensing problem with Benchy, and so it's been pulled off of 3D printing sites because the terms for it don't allow modification. But people have been modifying the hell out of it because it hasn't been enforced. But apparently a new org owns the rights to it, and because a new company came into existence, that it may enforce the rights, and so 3D printing sites are pulling Benchy off of the thing. So they're coming up with other things now. But what's really interesting about Benchy is that it has all of these other things in it, like angles of attack and bridging and stuff like that, that if it's printed properly are measurable.
So then you can see if you're actually doing it to spec.
Correct. Yeah, and that's what the purpose of Benchy was, but people have just kind of run with it and don't use it as the tool that it's supposed to be. Instead, people are calling the company that might, but have not, apparently, might enforce its rights as the tool. Anyway, this thing says that it's a round metal demonstration part, and when I think round, I think spherical, but that's not what this is. It's actually just a metal plate with metal 3D printing things on it that are cylindrical in nature.
Yeah, it almost looks like flashlights or something attached to the disc.
Or dumbbells, like on their end, little barbells.
Right,
Barbells
vertical.
for mice. What is this? A bench for mice?
I was going to mention mice because you were doing the sniff.
Oh,
We
right.
just talked about the
Yeah,
mice that you can sniff.
That's yesterday's article. I am holding out for the sniffable microphone now. So, yeah.
I hope not. We don't want to hear everybody sniffing into their microphones while
Just sounds
streaming.
gross. Born in space. Born in space. This is born in space here. Born in space there. Why? Anyway, Prince Charming is the section. Prince, Prints, Charming. Noor Al-Sabai put the article together, and it says, in a press release, the ESA announced that the object, a round metal demonstration part produced on the ISS, is now back in the hands of the ESA's Research and Technology Center, and that just over a year ago, ESA astronaut Andreas Mogensen successfully installed the Airbus-built 3D printer in the space station's Columbus module, a feat unto itself, given that setting up the complicated machinery like that is hard enough on Earth, and all the more so without gravity. I read a report.
Can you hand me that piece? Oh, wait, it just floated off.
Oh, crap. Yep, there it is. Oh, I found a tomato. I heard that you can actually be stuck. Like if you don't do something to make sure that you hit some other solid surface, that you can be stuck in zero gravity inside the space station, but not be able to get anything. So you'll just have to sit there until somebody else comes along and like nudges you to a corner.
Wow, that's odd.
Yeah. So the distinction is, as though this feat will inevitably help pave the way for future off-world manufacturing endeavors, this wasn't the first time an object had been 3D printed in orbit. The distinction occurs more than a decade ago when NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore, the same one who's slated to come back down to Earth in a few weeks after being stuck on the ISS for 10 months longer than expected, installed and test calibrated the first ever 3D printer in orbit.
Do you think they installed the printer because they were bored?
Yeah, they were making all of those like print in place frogs where when you peel them off, they wiggle, stuff like that. Wiffle balls and stuff like that. They were printing all kinds of things because they were bored in space.
Well, I mean, they were stuck there.
Yeah, they were stuck. Oh, they 3D printed little sticks so that they could just pull one off the Velcro attachments all over their body,
I see.
and
Okay, so then they could get unstuck.
they could push themselves. Yeah, like during COVID, where we had those little sticks to like push things so that we wouldn't
Oh,
get
yeah. To
contaminated
have
by.
some sort of radius around people.
That's right. Giant hamster ball. Let's move on to the next article. It's over on Stock Marketeers. Two thieves bought a $500,000 lottery ticket. That's not how much the lottery ticket cost. It cost substantially less, but they won $500,000.
That's good that wasn't the price.
Otherwise, that credit card was really worth it. Anyway, so a $500,000 lottery ticket with a stolen credit card. The victim wants $250,000. Do they deserve it? Discuss. Internet, discuss.
Well, the thieves don't deserve it. I mean, I'm
wouldn't
not
have
opposed to the victim getting it.
The victim wouldn't have it if not for the thieves.
Yeah, but it wasn't their money to spend. I'm surprised it doesn't just get canceled and goes back to the lottery.
Yeah, it's a product of a felonious theft, right? So it should just redraw. Nope. Can't have that. So the sordid tale is so unusual that it could only be the fictionalized moral quandary dreamed up by the likes of David Lynch, who I think passed away in the last year, didn't he?
I think in 2024, yeah.
Yeah. So this is an article over at marketwatch.com. Quentin Fautrell put this article together, and it says here that it's a story ripped from the tabloid headlines of neo-noir. I'm not sure why this was updated. Oh, it was updated in the last 24 hours. So two thieves stole a credit card, discovered that $52.50 or $55.15 American dollars had been spent at Tabac de Terme, I guess, a nearby store, and he wants to share in the winnings of the $524,000 lottery win in France.
So does that mean they used the credit card, won the lottery, claimed the lottery, and the only reason the victim knew this is when they checked their statement or something?
Apparently, yeah. John David E. I don't know if that's their last name. It just has their last name is just E. I wonder if that's the actual last name of the person.
It might be, so they're protecting the person's identity, because I think it says E period up there.
That's a comma there. Huh, I don't know. So without me, they would not have won, he said, but without them, I would not have bought this ticket. He didn't buy the ticket, they bought the ticket. But anyway, with his logic, while true is bizarre, someone else would have bought the ticket with their hard-earned money. That person, not Jean David E., is the real $500,000 victim here. But that's not necessarily true. It's a random generation of numbers or a purchase of a ticket. So it was a scratcher. So somebody else would have bought that ticket for sure. Maybe. Sometimes
if they sold enough,
eventually,
right?
Yeah, eventually it would sell through. So the victim's lawyer, Pierre Dubuisson, I guess. Debuisson? Anyway, I give it my Harvard try, but I never went to Harvard, so this is the quality of try you get. Anyway, they bought stupid things like buying cigarettes, he said, and also the winning lottery scratch card. Debuisson did not respond to a request for comment. He says, no, they would not have won if not for stealing the credit card. These bastards.
This is fascinating that the victim here is asking for half. Like, why not go for all of it?
It's a pretty damn reasonable ask, you know? Anyway, give them half. Give them half. It's more than and then throw the thieves in jail for stealing a credit card and...
Right. And then there's some debate about, because there's two thieves and one victim, should it be in thirds?
You heard it right.
This is fascinating.
Debuisson's client wants to split the proceeds 50-50. He doesn't want to split it three ways. I think from a legal and moral point of view, splitting it equally would be a good thing because Without my clients, this guy would never have been able to buy this ticket, he said. The police and Jean David are, however, unable to locate the thieves.
That's a twist. I kind of assumed they were a known quantity here.
This
This
article
is really neat.
just keeps giving and giving. So this case is a law professor's dream and a student's nightmare, said Oleg Nikritin, an attorney at the law offices of Robert J. de Groot, also known as the Guardians of the Galaxy law firm.
Yes, most definitely.
In Newark, New Jersey, the victim may claim that under unjust enrichment principles. Come on, God. So this is such a bar question.
Like an academic exercise. Yeah.
So unjust enrichment. It's the only reason why you would ever say the phrase unjust enrichment principles would be because you're sitting there arguing to show somebody, I know about unjust enrichment. Girlfriend. Anyway, he should receive the benefits of the credit card's use, and the thief should disgorge any profits from their misconduct. I love this. Disgorgement occurs when a person repays money they earned by illegal means.
I guess they thought the readers could figure out unjust enrichment, but not disgorgement.
Yeah, it's also what happens when I drink too much tequila. Anyway, in the U.S., the thieves would almost certainly be out of luck. The FBI cites asset forfeiture as a powerful tool used by law enforcement agencies against criminals and criminal organizations to deprive them of their ill-gotten gains. So what would they do? They would try to withdraw this from a bank account that probably doesn't have the funds in it.
Yeah, I don't know how they would really recoup the funds here because I'm presuming that the funds were paid out in cash somehow.
A cash? $500,000?
Well, I mean, why can't they track it back? That's the only reason I said that, because they don't seem to know who these people are. Well, how did they get the payout?
Yeah, I don't even get this. For a share of the $500,000, the thieves may try to claim the ticket with their victim's support, however opportunistic it seems. La Française des Jeux, FDJ, the state lottery operator,
they haven't even claimed it yet,
said that no one has yet submitted the ticket, but the clock is ticking. They expire in 30 days in France.
Wow.
Euro Millions lottery tickets have a 180-day window. Wow. Anyway, they're still waiting for the call.
If you're the thieves, are you like, there's been a lot of interest in this. Now, if I turn this in, am I going to get arrested?
So here's the weirdest thing about this. They know that the credit card was used to purchase a winning scratcher, but they haven't recovered the scratcher. So how do they know that it's the winning scratcher?
Well, this reminds me of the issue with the 2 tickets, and they're both the winning numbers, but they don't know, but there were 2 transactions. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. It seems like they should know that that credit card purchased a scratcher, but how would they know it was the winner?
What's the point of scratching? If you know that the barcode is good enough to reflect the winning ticket, then why can't somebody just sit there and go blip, 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 blip through the system and find the winning tickets?
I don't know. I feel like we're missing something here about how their scratchers work or how their purchases track it or something.
There's something weird about this, right?
Because I assumed they knew this because
they turned it in.
The ticket had been claimed or something, they got some press or something.
Something. Wow. Okay, well, anyway, fascinating. We're going to have to look into this a little bit more. I don't know. I guess I could tap somebody that I know that works in lottery, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on.
I hope we see a follow-up story in
I hope so too. Yeah, like 2 idiots are going, wow, we won. We wouldn't have known about it if we hadn't read it in Market Watch.
I don't think they would have known about it. I mean, really, if you're a thief and I don't know. Although it's not a draw, it's a scratcher, so maybe they would have determined it quickly.
They're still fighting over it.
Well, right, because we think it's a problem with 3 people fighting, but right now it's just 2 the thieves.
2 criminals, yeah.
Right.
Fighting over a $500,000 ticket. Yeah. two people buy a ticket, one person goes and...
That's exactly it.
How do you say Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome in French? Never mind. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, the next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Startup successfully docks with flying space junk to start cleaning the cosmos. Thankfully, space debris is well, not thankfully. Let me rephrase that. Space debris is a growing problem both in Earth's orbit and down on the ground. One startup has brought us a step closer to tidying it up, but it comes at a price. Owen Bellwood over at Jalopnik. It's a space Jalopnik that's flying around up there.
Yeah, I thought Jalopnik typically focused on the ground.
So the thing is that there's a lot of companies that are just throwing crap up there, but not cleaning up their crap. And they're even saying, yeah, we cleaned up our crap, but it's only dropping it a couple miles closer and then going,
or dropping it into somebody's living room.
Mostly Florida. So there's a small crisis emerging in outer space. Basically, it's a bunch of crap flying around. And there is actually a theory that eventually there's going to be so much crap up there that you can't get anything up there without it being peppered into oblivion and adding to the pile of space junk.
Right, which that'll be a serious problem. I don't even know why it's allowed to leave something up there, etc. We've seen rules about like parking spaces and everything like that.
Yeah, so what is it called? Kessler syndrome. Kessler syndrome is what it's called. It describes a situation where the density of objects in low Earth orbit becomes so high that space pollution prevents objects from re-entering or entering. Yeah. So Astroscale, a Japanese startup, has estimated that 22,000 pieces of space trash are floating around up in the sky right now, and some of it has been landing in Earth, like a giant, I think it was like a 12-ton battery pack, and it disintegrated all the way down to like a 15-pound chunk that punched through a roof and landed in a living room.
Right. There was also something that was thought to be space junk that landed in Africa.
Yeah.
I think it was like a big
ring.
hollow wheel or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the mating ring for 2 stages. Yeah. That led to, I think it's called what is it called? There was a movie about a person, a strange world or something like that, where a guy from Africa, some tribesman found a Pepsi bottle and carried it to some city. Anyway, like returning it from the gods. So Astroscale has developed a small craft that will one day be able to dock with the errant space junk and then control its descent back to Earth, the company explained recently. With the space trash floats back to, it's a mad world is what it's called.
No, it's the gods must be crazy.
Oh, really? Oh, damn it. It's from the same era then. Has to be. Anyway, there's a movie called It's a Mad World. So, yeah, the gods must be crazy. I remember the scene. There's like a scene where he picks up the bottle out in the desert. Or the bush. Sorry. It's not a desert, it's a bush. Anyway, Astroscale developed a small craft and then will one day go over and pick up trash and drop it back into orbit. Or not orbit, but back into Earth's atmosphere so it disintegrates.
And lands on somebody's living room again.
Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, screw that person right there. And they just keep on doing it again and again. And then it comes to find out.
What if it's always ending at the same spot?
Always at the same spot. And then somebody finally goes, okay, let's look into this. And there's this massive investigative journalism thing. And then you find out that it's the ex's house.
Well, right. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm sure.
Of the mission commander.
Right. Sounds possible, sadly.
There's a whole service on Darknet where people can pay to have debris dropped onto houses.
Let's not put ideas out there.
Hey, I'm entrepreneurial. So the milestone means that the Astroscale has unlocked a new round of funding from Japan's space agency, which will allow it to move on to finally docking with a chunk of space junk, a chunk of space junk. I don't know. Put a bunch of those words together and it makes sense. Anyway, Ars Technica says it will be up to the future Astroscale mission named Address J2 to transit the last 15 meters to the H-2A rocket. Address J was a pathfinder and didn't have the equipment to actually latch onto another object in orbit. Ouch. You know what? Nobody ever wants to hear that you don't have the right equipment. Anyway, good luck to Astroscale. Let's move on. Next article is over in the Mobile channel. Blue Diamond is the latest brand to build a promotional vehicle, and this one's really cracked. Did you look?
Is that a compliment or a play on words?
Did you look this one up? Did you go over and look?
I've looked at this one.
Yeah. Earlier this month, when they're really, really fun, like they're just so peaceful and chill articles, I know that the sentient AI kind of goes, I'm going to peek under the hood a little bit. So earlier this month, when a driver on his way to the Big Ten Collegiate Athletic Conference saw the flashing lights of a police car behind him, he was pulled over. It was easy to see how he caught the cops' attention. The vehicle heading for Sacramento was a 20-foot-long fiberglass almond weighing 10,600 pounds. And that's what... I love it. I absolutely love that.
I really like the theming we've seen from companies' vehicles lately.
This one is actually like brilliant. It's small enough to not be obtrusive like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, but still sticks to the whole theme.
Yeah.
I wonder, okay, so I haven't looked yet, but I wonder if the only way to get out of this thing is to lift up that whole front portion of it. You know, like one of those.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't looked at it either.
It has a seam right there. I dig that.
Right, it does look like it has like bat wing doors or something.
So, honoring one of marketing's oldest and oddest tactics. This is over at adweek.com. It's written by Robert Clara, and I won't be able to talk much about it because I didn't sign in before the show. But anyway, the vehicle heading for Sacramento was a 20-foot-long fiberglass almond weighing 10,600 pounds and powered by a 6.6-liter Jeepers Creepers, the Nutty Cruiser, a turbo diesel V8.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you think people... I don't know. The Nutty Cruiser is kind of a funny name.
It can hit 70 miles per hour. Apparently, it's surprisingly aerodynamic, they say under the caption for the picture. But it looks like a very well-made fiberglass almond, but it has, like, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the little thing to hold it up. Like
yeah,
it has a
little
side door here. It looks like a Lego car. Like, it doesn't look big. It looks much smaller than
right, yeah.
you might suspect. And where it's not a shade of brown and look like an almond, it's bright blue, and I think it has like the
Matches
Blue Diamond
their
logo. It has big old side mirrors. I want to see more pictures, but I'm not logged in, so you can go over and check it all out. Hopefully y'all can go and see it. Anyway, let's keep moving. The next article is over in the Wanda channel. How to stream March Madness 2025. It's one of our interests to bring sports to the show a little bit more. You know, represent what the Ohio State University, that kind of thing. Anyway, March Madness, the NCAA's men's and women's basketball tournaments is this month. The time for buzzer beater, Cinderella stories, and busted brackets is finally upon us. And one of the busted brackets was last night at the Oscars when Wicked got whacked. It's one of the most fun times of the year to be a basketball fan. Even if you're not someone who follows the sport, you can still fill out a bracket. You can pick your players based on their mascots, their colors, or even their names.
So I wanted to give an update on the last one. So if you go to bluediamond.com, you can see the tour dates, but I didn't see any more photos of it. But it's going around the country.
Nuts. So this article is over at pocket-lint.com. It's a article by Chris Hackey. And It says Paramount Plus offers all men's games. Max streams 43 of the games. YouTube TV and Hulu Plus Live TV cover both tournaments. You can watch it on Paramount Plus, Max, YouTube TV, Fubo TV, DirecTV Stream, and Hulu Plus Live TV. Just to break it down a little bit more, Fubo TV provides Paramount Plus. Hulu Plus Live TV offers live TV. No shit news at 612.
Wow, that's in the name.
And Disney Plus, ESPN Plus with CBS, TNT, TBS, True TV, and ESPN for full Match Madness. March Madness coverage. Anyway, they talk about all of this in a little bit more detail over at pocket-lint.com. They talk about Paramount Plus, they talk about Max, they talk about YouTube TV, which is $85 now or something like that. Maybe more. I don't remember. I think its price went up. Hold on. Let me see.
All of them have gone up. And I mean, there's separate articles in Hometown about basically planning out which streaming service you're going to have at any given time.
It's currently $83 a month for the base plan. Yeah. Talk about.
Right. Well, you better get your March Madness if you're paying that.
Talk about a kick to the blue diamond. Anyway, Fubo TV, DirecTV, they go down the line, Hulu Plus Live TV. They go into greater detail about what and when and whatever. But you have options, but it's still going to cost you nickels and dimes all the way up into quarters and probably dollars. Like full-on dollars.
That's right. And if you do get a service, you might want to check how much it covers because, you don't want to get up to like the final pairing or something and then it's like, nope, we don't have it on this channel.
I'm looking at you, Vera. The next article is over in Distillerist. I'm a big fan of distilled spirits, but I don't drink that much anymore. Copenhagen Distillery, challenging conventions of whiskey making. I would like the rules to change in the United States so that people can distill at home, but they can't so far, only in a couple of states. And even then, you have to jump through flaming hoops, and it's really dangerous to have flames, but technology has almost eliminated that in the distillery process because you can have electric kettles. Anyway.
So it's a little safer than it used to be.
And by little, like, factors upon factors upon factors.
Exponentially.
It is just miraculously easy nowadays. You don't have a flame in sight. Anyway, and that's really all you have to worry about. You have that and a spark. If a spark catches alcohol, then it can detonate. So you just don't let it build up, and you use a fan. It's called a fan. It's really expensive, high-tech crap. Anyway, that's about the limit of my soapbox. So how do you create a distinctively Danish whiskey, one that has a unique identifiable flavor profile that can stand up to the quality of established whiskey making regions? Well, master distiller, I don't know how to say their name. Is it Lasse Osnek, I guess. But it's probably Bob Smith.
Right, we don't know.
Yeah. Shares his contemporary approach to distilling. So Copenhagen Distillery's Osnek harnesses his background in pharmaceutical science to create distinctively Danish whiskey, the kind of whiskey he loves to drink. His vision is clear. Were you about to say something?
That reminds me of the chemist who's now on YouTube making different cocktails and extracts and other things.
The Art of Drink. That guy?
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of, and the Art of Drink walks you through the manufacturing process of a minimum viable drink product. And then you can ramp it up. You can scale it up from the tiniest little shot glass of manufacturing all the way up to full-on production. And when you talk about that, this is Non Sequitur News, folks. So we diverge, but we always bring it back. But it's really important. You should go. I actually subscribe to them on Patreon because it's inexpensive. It supports them, and they do like one show every couple of weeks nowadays. Anyway, maybe a week, but I haven't. They've been kind of dark for a while. Anyway, it's amazing because you're like, wait. You just went through 16 different chemical makeup things to make this one drink. And it's supposed to be identical or near identical to this other drink.
Right.
But there's nothing natural in sight, but it's all synthesized from natural products.
Right. Yeah, the ingredients, I guess, are natural.
Right. But what's being used is decidedly not like, I didn't just squeeze an orange to get that orange flavor.
Right. I mixed some chemicals or whatever, and now it's orange.
Now I'm tricking your brain. Anyway, Master Distiller says, don't get me wrong, the whiskey business is a business, but for them as a person, as a master distiller, it's a passion project. Passion project, that's all about doing things right, doing it their own way, and bringing passion into everything we do. I don't know if I want... Never mind. So whiskey making is an art that's been out there for centuries, and the great masters have done great in Scotland and Ireland and many countries. So they want to do something in... where? Denmark. Right?
I think it was Denmark.
So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, so last month, Copenhagen Distillery launched the 5th edition of its Raw series, celebrating 5 years since the first whiskey release. Osnick leads a tasting of the new whiskey along with 2 other key expressions from the distillery during this podcast episode. It's the Spirits Business Podcast with Osnick, now available to listen to on all major streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon, which is the same where you can find all of our podcasts. There's 7 of them, by the way, 6 weekly and 1 daily. Non Sequitur News. It's the daily.
That's right. Everywhere you catch pods.
Everywhere you catch pods. And if you catch too many pods, there's penicillin. Anyway, the next article is over on the Mobile Channel. Cancer researcher jailed for replacing data with insults after being fired. That's why I titled this section, "These lab results are insulting."
Oh, I knew which article this was from your headline. This is kind of a problem because I'm assuming the data may be gone.
Yeah, so Nahid, I'm a douchebag Manji, 66, used to be a clinical research coordinator at Stanford University. Her current job status is a bit different. She was convicted on multiple federal charges for tampering with a protected database belonging to Stanford University. The initial crime, which the author is about to get into, it's over at Vice, and it is insanely unethical and deeply irresponsible, somehow took over 10 years to prosecute, and no one seems inclined to explain why. Because they're trying to protect having to disclose that a database could have been tampered
don't want
with.
Somebody to be like, hey, we can't do research at this university.
Because somebody can tamper with the results with impunity for 10 years, apparently. Well, we don't know when they actually got fired. But Manji was fired from her job as a clinical researcher coordinator at Stanford University back in August of 2013. She'd only been working there since September of 2012. So they were fired fast, but the exfiltration of this compromise to the database was not reported out until 10 years later.
Well, do we even know if they really knew the full extent of it?
Don't know. Louis Prada over at Vice.com, which begs the question, was the data actually utilized in any actionable way? And therefore, if it wasn't the preeminent data set, then what does it matter that it was actually manipulated? It would have been worse if it was tampered with and never detected and utilized.
Oh, absolutely. Right? That could lead to adverse clinical outcomes, any number of things.
So her bosses didn't like her performance during this period. She was overseeing a study about experimental breast cancer treatment, so they canned her. But they forgot to immediately revoke her access to the patient database. Manji, full of spite and pettiness, accessed the database and started replacing patient info with false details. So that's the bad part. That's the really bad part. If anything was in this and it was actioned on, that is what I was talking about. If it was old, stale data and not used, That's one
Right,
thing.
or already had been used before it was tampered with or something. I mean, that could still have problems, but it wouldn't be the same as if it was actively being utilized or incorporated in other studies or
Yeah.
sent directly into pharmaceuticals or any
Yeah.
number of things.
Yeah. If there was a warm backup of it sitting somewhere and they used that, and this was just the, frozen chill database sitting in an archive somewhere, maybe that's what went down, but I don't know. Former cancer researcher faces 21 years in prison after falsifying data. So, did this come back to haunt them after 10 years? They weren't fired for this. They were fired for their lack of
Right, which I
performance.
have to say, the institution must have known what it was doing.
Wow. So, we all love a good story about someone getting fired for or quitting and going out with a bang, preferably a bang that doesn't hurt anybody other than maybe a few hard feelings. But getting one more FU is a dream so many of us share. Yeah. Well, this is kind of the worst of it. Prosecutors argued that Manji's tirade prolonged and undermined research in a critical cancer treatment study, jeopardizing the safety and efficacy of a possible treatment. Manji's now facing 21 years. Yeah, so 10 years later is when they find out that the data was tampered with to some degree. And that is the worst of it.
Yeah, that's a long period of time in medicine and research.
Yep. Yeah. Usually when somebody does something like this, it's to save their ass. They manipulate the data so that it's
Right, like
more.
so that it proves whatever they're trying to show, which is still a problem, obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes the data is manipulated and they know that the person is about to do this and they are like, oh, yeah, okay, this dipshit did this. And so they freeze it and then they prosecute.
Right, they
But
can catch it really before it has any impact.
but this lasted 10 years after being terminated. Well, you suck as a human being. And let's move on. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Look inside this year's $217,000 gift bag for Oscar nominees. This,
It
by the
must be
way,
a Birkin.
just one. This, by the way, $270,000 is close to the average price of a home in the United States. And
Right, and it's going to people that, for the most part, are wealthy, right? I
right,
understand if they're a technical crew or something, maybe not.
right. So everybody that went apparently got one. $217,000 gift bag for Oscar nominees. The lump sum of all of that money. This, by the way, is in California, where they were trying to argue that they were trying to promote the idea of helping California because of the fires during this.
Right, so this part kind of misses that unless there's some sort of charitable aspect or something.
Yeah, maybe we missed something, but again, this is one of those articles where it's kind of a punch to the blue diamonds. Anyway, Madeline Fitzgerald put the article together over at QZ.com. Quartz is the magazine, online magazine channel, website, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, more than 25 years, Distinctive Assets has distributed gift bags packed full of luxury goodies to the 20 nominated actors and 5 nominated directors. So it's only to the big guys, not to everybody.
Oh, so it's not even, for some reason, I was thinking it was more broad.
But it's close to $5 million. It is $5 million. 25 times 217,000. So,
Right.
So $5 million could have helped out a lot of people. Maybe they gave a lot more in some other way. So the most valuable item in the gift basket is $50,000 to spend at Maison Construction, which is offering nominees project management services for rebuilding Los Angeles properties post wildfires. Each celebrity gift can be redeemed for themselves, or they can direct the opportunity to support fire victims. Wonderful.
Okay, I like that.
But that's 50,000 out of a 270,000.
I know, out of how much, right, exactly.
Yeah, so
But maybe I don't know, maybe the celebrity will chip in and give the, anyway, I think the idea is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Bright Harbor also offered nominees the opportunity to assist wildfire victims. Nominees received a 1-year subscription to Bright Harbor's disaster relief services and an additional 10 subscriptions to give to others, whether they pamper themselves or share these bountiful gifts as a care package for the friends. But they don't actually go into all of the stuff that's in this. They just
No, I
show.
saw a separate. Oh, there's a slideshow, I think, that has more details.
Yeah. So we'll just list some of this. It isn't all of it, obviously, right? Right. That's only 50,000. Yeah. So $400 worth of film-inspired merchandise from Alamo Drafthouse, $1,570 Daniel Ashley Company pocket squares. Okay. Hey, man. Let's move on. The next article is over in the Model Channel. Please stop having measles parties, asks Texas government.
Is this like the old chicken pox intentional exposure kind of thing?
During the Civil War, people would be infected with a disease so that they wouldn't get the disease when they were actually in battle. This is apparently similar, or with a little bit more idiocy. Amid a measles outbreak, people should be smart enough not to need health officials to tell them not to throw a freaking measles party. But alas, that's what America is all about nowadays, putting your child in danger to avoid the nearly non-existent danger of a vaccine. That's what Ron Cook, the chief health officer at the Texas Tech University Health Center Sciences in Lubbock, Texas, had to do in a press briefing this past Friday, because there's an outbreak in Texas. 146 reported cases of measles have ripped through West Texas, leading to 20 hospitalizations, and one unvaccinated child had died.
Right, and I believe that most of the outbreak, if not all, is related to not having a vaccine.
Right. Yeah. And there is data out now that says the vaccinations have done nothing but positive. And where there is an anomalous health risk, there are pre-existing conditions or an undetected one that could have been detected if they would have gone to the doctor.
Right, or they might have gotten vaccinated and it just didn't take for whatever reason. But yeah, mostly it's people that didn't get the vaccination.
And while I am the very first person to sit there and say, well, you wouldn't be the happy one if you became the victim of the vaccine. But I'm also the one that says, I'm not going to tell you to take it or not take it, but at least educate yourself on it and have a valid reason to not take it.
And get real information on it, but also not just yourself. Think about society around you, because you're not just protecting yourself. You may be protecting other people.
Yeah, I didn't get to finish that statement. That I'm not going to tell everybody that they're not allowed to have a vaccine. It's a personal choice based on education, based on understanding what the concept is, and realizing that this thing is mostly beneficial, if not entirely. The fail rate is exceedingly low. And anyway, and if you want to sit there and go, oh, survival of the fittest, then you're a lunatic, you're a sociopath, and you've already violated the social contract. Anyway, so Ron Cook in Texas had to tell people, don't hold a freaking party. So say it with me, low vaccination rates. 116 of the 146 cases involved people under the age of 18, with 46 of them being 5 years old or younger. Only five of those 146 had received at least one dose of the MMR vaccine, which covers measles, mumps, and rubella. So
okay,
what are they?
My point earlier, this is mostly an unvaccinated group.
Right. And even then, they didn't get the full rotation.
Correct. They might have just gotten one dose because of their age or something.
And they were waiting to, maybe they just didn't finish the rotation. Anyway, so yeah, measles parties are exactly what they say they are. People going to an event with the intent of catching it. It's also referred to as bug hunting, and people actually do that. They go out looking to get infected with stuff because they're lunatics. Anyway, there's more to this article. Go and check it all out. To anybody who is listening and they're in Texas or anywhere where there are people who are actively not getting vaccinated, unfortunately, you can still be the carrier for something. You will be immune to it for the time being of the vaccination period, but you can still carry it and infect somebody. And that's the worst of it, because the sociopaths will sit there and go, wasn't me, even though it was you. You got me sick. All I was a carrier. And I get somebody else sick.
So you want those around you to get vaccinations as well, so they're also protected.
Yeah, I can only dip myself in so much bleach. Anyway, last article is the weirdest one that we've had in a while. It's a Mobile Channel article. Your skin and your lungs and your butt can taste things. We actually heard about this in a different way. There's an article that says that an animal's butt can breathe.
Yes, that was probably the weirdest article before this one.
Yeah, and this one is actually referring to humans. So our tongues openly rebel against bitterness as a way of protecting us from things that could potentially cause us harm. Turns out our skin might have similar taste receptors that give extra protection against potentially harmful compounds. So I'm not surprised by this, because we all have like sensory
like our
apparatus.
Skin takes in and expels things, and
we just don't have conscious control over it, where we've decided, oh, this is salty, this is bitter, this is sweet. So researchers from Okayama University of Science at Okayama, Japan, found that the taste receptor called TAS2R doesn't just call our tongues home, but also perhaps skin, stomachs, upper airways, and yes, we may even have those receptors in our colons. So what they're tasting in there is the flavor of nightmares.
How do you think this research proposal went over?
So what I want to do is I want to find out if your butt is a tongue. So to protect you from toxins, of course, that is why we have taste receptors in various other parts of our anatomy. Louis Prada over at Vice.com put the article together, and I can only look at a picture of somebody with their tongue out for so long before I go, you know what? I've hit my limit. So
that must be those taste receptors kicking in.
Taste as in the visual taste of not wanting to look at that. Taste as in style, taste as in judgment. Yeah. Keratinocytes are the primary type of skin cell within our outermost layer of skin, the epidermis, and have been found to contain these bitter receptors. The researchers exposed a lab-grown version of these skin cells to bitter crystalline compound called phenolthiocarbamide, or PTC for short. Sure. So the TAS2R receptors in the skin detected the PTC, an observation that was reinforced by the protection of ABC transporters. They don't say what the ABC receptors are. Everything that I know about ABC already been chewed. ABC. Anyway, just to make sure, the researchers then rubbed a muscle relaxing substance called verapamil onto the transporters, effectively shutting down their ability to swipe away potentially harmful bitter compounds. All of this
ATP binding cassettes, or ATP binding cassette transporters.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So they basically just move a signal from one place to another. Gotcha. So all of this suggests that the very same TAS2Rs that make us wince and scrunch our faces when we suck on a warhead. By the way, if you want something more sour and long-lasting sour than a warhead, Crybabies on Amazon. They're little teardrop hard candies that will make your
going hard into the theme.
They will make your entire head pucker into your body like all the way down into your neck. Anyway, you just grab a handful of those and you might end up in the ER. Anyway, even the oddest and most mundane scientific discoveries could have some potential practical applications down the line. In this instance, the researchers also found that the skin cells with the activated taste receptors can better defend against toxic substances. So one day, maybe you'll lick something and you'll go, oh no, that's poison.
Right, but maybe you could just not.
Yeah. So they actually say, well, maybe there will be a cream you can put on and it'll stop you from being poisoned or whatever. Anyway,
Right, that would be a better better result.
So as I do with all things when I want to lay claim to it, I'm going to go and lick the welcome sign of ohmtown.com. Ugh. I don't really eat sweets all that much anymore either, but yeah, the welcome sign is kind of bitter. Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye. I'm taking the AI with me. You want to say bye?
Good night. Yes. Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for today's Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow for another episode, and be sure to subscribe and watch all of our 1900 plus episodes if you haven't.
Yeah, get busy. See, I'll probably do the replay after this too. So we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, YouTube. Bye-bye, Twitch. I'll miss you.